real game of the year?
Yeah, I think, first and foremost, we're extremely excited to be able to, get the season kicked off for us this weekend. It's been a long process here in preseason. We're extremely happy with where we're at the moment. I'm excited for the weekend. Again, we've put a lot of work in this offseason and in preseason. We feel really good about the group and how it's come together. And again, it's another opportunity for us to start the season on the right note, and we're excited about that.
Anybody have questions?
I mean, obviously, when the big piece of news that came out today was Brian OB status. Can you share exactly, I guess, what the injury was?
Yeah, let me start by saying this. I think it's really easy for people to forget about the human aspect of this. This is a man who has been incredible in preseason. He's probably come in the most fit that I've seen him in my entire time here. And we're really disappointed for him. I think that's something that Brian can share on his own time. We obviously put out there that an injury has happened and he will be having surgery, and I'm gutted for him. This is also a player that was going to lead the group this year, right? And he took a lot of pride in that. And I looked at how he brought the locker room together, and will continue to keep the locker room together. And there's still going to be a role for him on a daily basis, right? My expectation is he continues to lead in a different way. And he obviously knows that. We've had some difficult conversations over the last 24 hours. I'm mostly worried about him as a person. I think this is tough. And we're going to be here as an organization to support him throughout the entire process, treat him, the way we treat all of our players, and make sure that he's taken care of both obviously in the training room and his rehabilitation, but also from a human aspect outside of work.
Even with the loss of Brian, you still return a core group from last year, and with all the postseason runs that you've made and they've been a part of those experiences, how do you continue to build on that going into this season?
Yeah, I think we feel really good about the group of players that we've brought in. I think, as I said, in the offseason, it was important that we brought in the right people that we believed fit the culture. And that's certainly come to fruition up to this point. When we look at the added pieces higher up the field, and Adrian Perez, when we look at Evan Davila, when we look at Jorge Gonzalez, Ray Serrano, these are still important pieces and have a lot of quality, right? So again, Brian would be the first one to tell everybody that his expectation will be that when someone's number is called, that they respond. And we're confident in the group that we have. There's no question about that. And I think, as I've said, we've watched in preseason this group come together. We've played a lot of games this preseason, especially with the first week, obviously having a bye, and the performances have been, incredible for me. Most importantly, the mentality of the group and the bite of the group. And, so we feel good about where we're at. And obviously we're cognizant of Brian and where he's at in his head at the moment. But, I don't want to take away from this moment and what he's going through, but I do feel good about where the group is at.
You mentioned preseason games, not that you've been able to play and how beneficial they are or have been. Are there specifics that you've seen from the group, the mentality piece, but maybe the play on the pitch that has really developed?
Yeah, I think when we look at, how we're trying to play from a system standpoint and a principle standpoint, the guys have taken it on. We've been on the front foot with regard to our pressure. I think with regard to with the ball, we have a lot of quality, a lot of guys that are good in tight spaces, but we're also expanding the field, and we've brought in a good amount of pace and quality in the final third. I think these are things that we want to see obviously come together this weekend. But throughout preseason, I was pleasantly surprised at how quickly the group understood really tactically what we were trying to do, because it's a little bit different than maybe some of the guys that are returning are used to. But I think that's one thing when you bring in so many new players, you have guys that all have to learn, and they got to learn together. And for me, they've done that. And, I refer back to the culture piece of it because I feel the group has been operating with our values on a daily basis. And I think that's why, take results out of it, I just mean from a performance standpoint, preseason has been a joy to watch. We've pushed them hard to make sure that they're physically ready to go for opening day.
Touched on this a little bit, but just the strategy and who you were bringing in this offseason. A lot of guys who you have all league kind of players or players who have accomplished a lot of things individually. They want to come here, they want to win. What does that add to your locker room in terms of the mentality maybe year over year?
Yeah, so a few things on that. First, yes, we've brought in a couple guys that are all league, but most importantly, these are guys that are hungry. These are guys that aren't, I know you guys are going to speak to Arturo here soon, but these are guys that are not content with earning an all league selection. They're guys that want to win, and they came here to win. And these are guys that we've watched excel in their previous environments, and we felt fit the profile of player that we were looking for. And then again, most importantly, through the interview process, were people that we wanted in our locker room. And so when you look at those acquisitions, when you look at how they have handled coming into a new environment, a new city, a new team with a new club, that's not always easy to do. But I think with how welcoming our group already was, coupled with the mentality of the guys that we've brought in, we feel like the pieces are coming together.
Wilson Harris seems particularly dialed in this preseason. Have you kind of noticed the change about him, and how important is he going to be?
Yeah, I would say we've noticed a big change in Willie in the offseason and how he came in. He's a part of our leadership group that we have, and there's a reason for that. I think when you look at how he's handled, again, similar to all these guys, how they handle new players coming in, their intensity on a daily basis, the willingness to want to be the best, but doing all the small things that get you to that point. I think he's taken all that on board. And we obviously met in the off season prior to him departing for his off season. Sorry. And he came back exactly what we were looking for. And then I think I would add, when we talk about, there's a lot of growth that happens in this room that we're in right now with regard to video analysis and things like that. He's been a key voice. And so you look at the goals that he scored in preseason and the form that he's in now. We're excited about the season, and we're excited about what we feel he can bring.
That's one for me. El Paso is your first regular season opponent. You also played in the preseason.
Yeah.
Was that just a coincidence, or was that kind of intentional helping?
Yeah, definitely a coincidence. Not how I would have drawn it up, that's for sure. But we got the schedule there a little bit late, and at that point, I felt it was still important that we get a game, and obviously their manager felt the same. And so we talked about it going into that game, that we were going to see them early with regard to the preseason game. And I think we saw a lot of things that were similar on Saturday night when they played to what we saw when we were there in Arizona. But they play again tomorrow night. You never know what that looks like come Saturday.